Alright, shalom, shalom. This is the brother Abad. You're back here once again. Before I get started, like always, I want to give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai Bahasham, Rahakodash, the bonus to my teachers, the elder apostles of Great Millstone, and shalom to the hopeful elect. Yeah, I want to do a lesson on this guy, Olaudah, Equiano. If you're not familiar with him, then this will be a lesson for you to listen to and get edified on this guy that proves even more that we are the children of Israel, that we are the biblical Hebrew Israelites, right? Let's go down to this Wikipedia definition of him. It says Olaudah Equiano, known for most of his life as Gustavus Vasa, which was his slave name, of course, was a writer and abolitionist from, according to his memoir, the Igbo region of the Kingdom of Benin. Enslaved as a child in Africa, he was shipped to the Caribbean as a victim of the Atlantic slave trade and sold as a slave to a Royal Navy officer. Right? And that's why we say the Igbos, they know that they're Israelites and the people of Benin over there in the land of Africa, which is known as Africa today. They know that they are Hebrew Israelites also. But I want to go to this site here. It's called the University of King's College, .ca, and they published an article about this guy. Right, it's titled "Early Modern Times: The Interesting Jewish Narrative." Right, it says, "Dear readers, this recent Guardian article details the growing numbers of converts to Judaism in Nigeria, which we cannot convert to Judaism. Judaism is a religion created by the people that call themselves Israelis, all right, which they go back to the seed of Esau, the tribe of Amalek. They are Amalekites. The religion Judaism has nothing to do with the Bible or the one you know as God, his Hebrew name being Yahweh, and the one you know as Jesus, his Hebrew name being Yahweh Shai. Judaism has nothing to do with the true biblical heritage of the children of Israel. That is a religion of heathens, all right? So converting to Judaism, that's bullshit. He was already an Israelite. He didn't convert. The people in Nigeria are already Israelites. They're not converting to Judaism, all right? Being an Israelite is your heritage, your nationality. Okay? It says, though these Jews are currently not recognized as such by the state of Israel. Of course they're not recognized by the state of Israel, because the state of Israel was formed by Great Britain. All right? The state of Israel. All right? That was around about what? Early 1940s. All right? The Balfour Declaration that gave those Amalekites that land over there, which is known as the state of Israel today. Of course, they're not going to recognize the true Israelites, which are in Nigeria, as being the people, because they're living a lie and they have adopted lies. Right? Let me prove that. Let's go over to the blue letter real quick in Jeremiah, the 16th chapter, because you do have a lot of these Israelis, all right, and so-called Jewish people who truly believe that they're from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. All right, they're from the stock of Abraham and Isaac, but they're from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Esau, not Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. But because they were deceived by their foreparents, you have a lot of them that truly believe that they're from the stock of Jacob. That's why Jeremiah the 16th chapter says this down in verse 19. It says, O Lord, my strength and my fortress, and my refuge in the day of affliction. The Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth, and shall say, surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit. So they're going to realize when the Lord returns that they inherited lies from their foreparents. Okay. So after it says the state of Israel doesn't recognize the true Israelites over there in Nigeria, it says it notes the history of accounts comparing the biblical Hebrews with the Igbo people of what is now Nigeria, including the interesting narrative of the life of Olaudah Equiano. Even his original Olaudah, right? Has the same sound as Judah, right? Which we know a lot of Judites come from Nigeria. But says the interesting life of Olaudah Equiano, or Gustavus Vassa, the African, written by himself, published in 1789 and pictured above, one of the first suggestions of Jewish ancestry of the Igbo. What led Equiano to compose this interesting Jewish narrative? What led him? Because he's not Jewish, he's an Israelite from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, from the tribe of Judah, right? It says Equiano's narrative is arguably the most prominent and read of a slave autobiographies in the 18th century, a genre which expanded in the 19th century. Equiano's narrative is to some readers a surprising one compared to the 19th century slave autobiographies. While it recounts his kidnapping in Africa, transportation in a slave ship across the Atlantic, and experiences as a slave before he is finally freed, much of it recounts his enforced service to his naval office master. And this is for all you bugged out Uncle Tom shucking driving Negroes that say the slave trade wasn't a thing, when there's proof of that all around you. I mean, you yourself is proof. The fact that you even over here, you simpleton. But you have bug out Negroes that say that. Anyways, so it says he was forced to serve this Royal Naval officer, right? So, and then you got all you dumb niggas in the Navy now willingly sworn oaths to the Navy, right? Now you see what the military made y'all do, right? Take that potion, take that injection to stop the C-19. Y'all ain't have no choice. Y'all had to take it to stay in the military. That's what the hell y'all get for not getting out of there. Anyways, his enforced labor was not confined to a plantation in the Americas, but consisted of involvement in naval engagements and combat in the 18th century, wars fought overseas, constituting a fascinating and complex maritime identity amidst the horrors of the slave trade. One of the topics explored in my new course on ideas of the sea and seafaring intercultural perspectives. As a naval slave, Equiano was forced into acquiescence to his watery, shipbound condition. Right, he was forced to go out on the seas and fight. But now you niggas do it willingly. Continuing, it says, after his enforced naval service, Equiano was sold to a sugar plantation owner in the British West Indies in 1762. 4 years later, however, he managed to purchase his freedom. Two decades later, which when they say purchase their freedom, these niggas weren't free. The freedom they had that they purchased back then is the same freedom y'all have now. Y'all able to drink coffee, drink orange juice, eat a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and go to the bar and go to the gym, as long as you obey to the laws of the land of your oppressor. You pay your taxes, you get your license, right? You're bound by his laws, and what he say goes. And if he tells you to put a mask on his face one day, put a mask on your face one day, that's what you do. If he tell you gotta have a potion to take you gotta inject a potion in you to keep your job, that's what you do. So when they say he purchased his freedom, it means you're able to walk around the plantation with a little more leash. You got a little more length on your leash. All right. Anyways, let's go back up to what it says. So it says, I lost my where I was at. Yeah. So it says he purchased his freedom. 2 decades later, he published, after purchasing his freedom. It says 2 decades later, he published the interesting narrative, which ranges in genre from autobiography to anti-slavery tract and conversion narrative. In the early sections of the work, Equiano states that he was born a member of the Igbo nation. As Sylvester A. Johnson writes in a 2008 article, Equiano alludes to similarities between Igbo religion and ancient Jewish religion, such as taboos against touching corpses to avoid ritual contamination, civil education, So lucky, I was reading too fast. Civil adjudication based on lex talionis and attention towards cleanliness through ritual washing, suggesting that the Igbo are Jewish in ancestry. No, they're just the Hebrew Israelites, alright? Mainly the tribe of Judah. Remember, there's 12 tribes of the nation of Israel. And the Israelis over there in the state of Israel today, they never were concerned with the 12 tribes. They just called themselves Jewish. It wasn't until we, as the Hebrew Israelites, began to wake up to our biblical nationality that now you have Israelis and these Amalekites now concerned with what tribe they come from. They were never concerned with that, but since they see that we're bringing the truth out, now they're trying to cover their ass. But you can't stop the truth. The truth is the truth. Alright? Anyways, continuing reading. It says, in other words, descendants of the biblical Hebrew patriarchs eventually made their way to West Africa, producing the Igbo nation. And that's exactly what happened. Right, when they had to flee during the time of great persecution, during the time of those Romans, Vespasian and Titus. So let's read this again. This is an account from an actual slave that came from West Africa, Nigeria, the Igbo tribe, saying that they are the biblical Hebrew Israelites. Right. In other words, descendants of the biblical Hebrew patriarchs eventually made their way to West Africa, producing the Igbo nation. Their Igbo origins are far from ignominious, right? It says, let me get that word. Basically, this means like worthy to be ashamed of, like this word ignominious, like basically saying their origins were nothing to be ashamed of, right? It says, why would it be important to trace Igbo ancestry to the ancient Hebrews? So you can know who the hell you are. that's why people, when we out here teaching, they tell us, well, what's the point of all this, nigga? So we can know that we the Hebrew Israelites and what we have promised unto us and what we truly come from, and that the God of the Bible is truly chose us to be His royal children. The hell you mean? Why does it matter? Anyways, traditionally, it was often supposed that the inhabitants of Africa were descending from Noah's son Ham. Yeah, that's that bullshit Esau, the so-called white man, taught us in school, that y'all Ham, y'all Africans, y'all stinking Canaanites, which we warred with the Hamites, which was another dark-skinned nation. Right? Every nation on the planet Earth has melanin except you so-called white people. Right? It says Ham was cursed by Noah, and thus the black complexion of sub-Saharan Africans was calmly interpreted by European I can't pronounce anything today. Theologians, Salakia, theologians, alright? It says, let's read it again. And thus the black complexion of the sub-Saharan Africans was calmly interpreted by European theologians as a sign of the Hamite curse, right? Now, of course, because they will lie. They will lie about our heritage, about who we truly are. How the hell is dark skin a curse when everybody on the earth is basically dark skinned or has some type of medicine except you so-called white people? But of course we had to believe that shit because they are the ruling power at that time, and we didn't have control over the education system, and we were still in darkness, so we ain't know right from wrong. But now we do, because the Spirit has been poured upon us. It says, by tracing Igbo ancestry to the biblical patriarchs and to Abraham, not Ham, Equiano reinterpreted his nation as stemming from the chosen people. The practice of enslaving Africans such as the Igbo was thus a sin against God, not just in terms of human equality, but also in relation to the sacred narrative of God's chosen people. Attempts to justify chattel slavery of Africans on biblical grounds were, according to Equiano, not just wrong, but ham-fisted and ham-handed. Right? It says, Equiano's strategy of tracing Igbo origins to Abraham was a morally fraught one. Although the Igbo may be descendants descendants of the chosen people, Equiano himself was a fervent convert to Christianity and even sought to carry out missionary work in the West Africa. African religion for Equiano, as Johnson points out, had traces of Jewish religion but was nevertheless inferior to the religion of Christian New Testament. Because when you look, man, when you truly understand your heritage as a Hebrew Israelite, and you truly understand the scriptures, you understand that word Christian just means that you're a follower of the Messiah, the Hamashiach, all right? Hamashiach, all right, in the Hebrew, the Messiah, which is Yahushua. That's what the Greco-Romans would have called the followers of Yahushua Hamashiach, all right? They called them Christians, right? So that's what true Christianity would be, but Christianity is not even a real thing. It's some pagan bullshit that stems from Roman Catholicism. Alright, it has nothing to do with our heritage, alright? But if you want to use that word Christian, then understand why it was applied to the mainly southern kingdom of the nation of Israel, which was known as Judea, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi during that time that was over there in the land. If you want to know why it was applied to them, then you have to understand the true understanding of the scriptures, right? So if the reason I'm saying this, because if they're saying he went back to Africa to teach Christianity, he probably was just teaching them that the Messiah was for them, right? Because the New Testament, they try to say that sums up Christianity, which is, look, man, it's all confusion, all right? The true biblical Hebrew Israelites are you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians. And the only way back to your heritage, the only way back to mercy and salvation is through your big brother, Hamashiach, Yahushua Hamashiach, okay? Let's continue finishing reading this off. It's only a little bit more. It says, furthermore, Equiano's father, he claimed, owned slaves in Africa. Equiano himself, Johnson writes, worked as a plantation overseer and purchased slaves on behalf of one of his owners. In the purchase of his freedom, conceded his legal status as a chattel slave. Finally, Vincent Carretta argues in a 2005 book that Equiano may not have been of Igbo origin, but was instead born in the Carolinas. In other words, if this is correct, Equiano adopted the guise of a native Igbo in order to argue for his Jewish non-Hamite ancestry. In these respects, his claims of Jewish ancestry may be rather less than Equiano dying. So, there go Esau trying to say that maybe he was lying. Whatever. We know what the truth is. And I wanted to bring this guy out because he didn't just pull this out of his ass. All right? That the people over there in Nigeria come from the stock of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Whether they want to say he's from the tribe of Igbo or not, he got it from somewhere. And even the name alone, Olaudah, tells us all that we need to know. All right? So, yeah, man, I hope this was edifying to whoever didn't know about this guy. And yeah, just further proof. Not that we need more proof, because you should be sure in what your faith and sure in what you believe. All right, we all the true biblical Hebrew Israelites, and our power is Yahweh Bahashem Yahushua. We're the chosen. We got the inheritance of the kingdom of heaven. And you're not supposed to waver in that. But these things, we have to bring these out when we can, because we're the teachers, we're the prophets, and that's our job. So I hope this was edifying. This wasn't a heavy scripture lesson. It wasn't meant to be. But until the next time, I say shalom.